Hey everyone, thanks for joining in. I see people are joining yet, so we're gonna wait for a couple of minutes for people to join in, and then we'll just get started. All right, I think we can get started. And Ritesh, just in case, if you find people in the lobby, I mean, if they are waiting, you can just go ahead and accept them so that they can enter the meeting. All right, perfect,
Yes,
guys.
I will.
Perfect. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining in today. Those of you who are joining for the first time, I would just like to tell you what we are generally discussing in this call. We generally have a monthly call where we talk about all the new updates that we have rolled out in Xenett. We record this webinar so that those of who could not make it today, we can just share with them as well, right? And those of you who do not know me, just a quick introduction. I am Hardik, one of the founder at Xenett, and I'll be kind of walking you guys through all the different updates that we have rolled out in the month of October as well as the recent release. All right. So now I'm gonna share my screen and then I'm gonna walk you through the update. So just a second. Ritesh, once I share my screen, you can please also confirm that you can see it so that way I know.
Yes,
Okay,
I can see it.
awesome. Perfect, guys. All right, so let's just start with the first update that we have rolled out, which is the suggestions for the names. So let me actually show you what I mean by that. So now, when you are looking at entries without name review point, what we are now doing is based on the description, we're going to start suggesting the vendor name. So in this case, it's a Sam's Club, and you see that it's a Sam's Club here, which is suggested by. So we actually use behind the scenes. So we use this description, ask AI what the vendor looks like. Based on that, we're going to suggest it, right? Now, you will see the vendors are coded in a different color. This one is a little blue, and then this one is the yellow one, right? So what we're doing is whenever it's an existing vendor which is there in your file, we're gonna highlight it like this, and you will see that hey, it's an Amazon and it's an existing vendor, right? In this case, if you click on accept, it would then automatically assign this vendor to that transaction, right? Versus in this case, Sam's Club is actually that vendor does not exist in your accounting file. In this case, when you click on accept, it takes two action. One, first it creates that vendor in your books, and after that, it would also update that particular transaction, right? So all we are trying to do here is rather than you having to like copy this description and go and find the information manually over the internet or ask AI, we at least try to kind of give you that suggestions right here. And if you think that suggestions look fine, you just simply click on accept, and then you can just kind of move forward, right? So that was one of the update that we have rolled out. All right, so now let's just talk about the next one, the delete log form. So here is the thing. At times, whenever there's a client deleted or a project deleted or a task deleted, once it's deleted, there is no way for even us to know like who deleted that particular thing and when exactly it was deleted, right? So a lot of our users requested like they really needed to have some sort of audit log that gives them some idea about anything that is deleted. So we introduced this delete log, and let me show you. So when you are at the firm level and when you are in insights, you will see this option called delete log. Here you would be able to see like what is deleted. Like in this case, it's a task. This is the name. This is a user who deleted it. And then you can also see like in which company or which client or whatever all the related information you will find it here, and you'll be able to see the like when exactly it was deleted, right? So all of those information will now be traceable. Now there may be a very long history, so what we are doing here is we only be displaying the data like that you deleted for the last 45 days. Once it's old or once it's past 45 days, those log will not be remain here. So it means that anytime you come here, you will only be able to see the history of deletion in the last 45 days, right? So yeah, that's another addition that we have done here. Okay. All right. The subtask recurrence. So whenever you have a recurring task, like a recurring task, but then you have a subtask, the due dates for the subtasks weren't actually reoccurring automatically, right? Again, it's a small fix that we have now done it. So we kind of have few customers reporting that, like, it's like you have a parent task, it has a due date which would then automatically be adjusted with the next recurrence, but the due dates for the subtasks weren't actually being adjusted. So now that's happening. Okay, so that's that. All right. The fourth one is the default landing screen for users, right? So what happens is whenever you log into Xenett, by default, you land here, like on home. But like some of you did not always want to land here, but some of you wanted to land on client list. Some may want to land here on project list. So now you can actually decide where you want to land. So here is how it's gonna work. When you click on your profile icon and when you click on my account, and you will then see an option for default lending preference. So like you can here choose wherever you want to land. So based on your preference, you can choose it, and next time you will just be landed whenever you log into Zenet on that particular screen, right? So again, that's a small improvement that we have done. Okay, add task to ongoing recurring project. So let me explain like what exactly we are doing with that. So say you have a few monthly closed projects open, right? And you kind of realize, like, let's just say you're right now working on September close and October close, and then you figured out there's one task which is not yet added. So what you do, like you click here on new, click on task, right? Let me go back to September so that I can give you the right example here. All right, so let's just say I wanted to add a task here. Previously, this option was not there. So if you just create the task, it would only be added in September, right? But since now we have this option here, like add to running project, what it also does is if I also have an October project running, I don't have to separately add this particular task into that project. This would automatically take care of that, right? So meaning if you have any other running clauses, this particular task would then be added to all the running clauses or all the running projects rather. All right. So that's again a small improvement that we have done it. Okay. Um, Let me just quickly see if there are any questions in the chat. I did not see it yet, but feel free, guys. Like in case if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in chat. I do have my colleague on the call who'll be kind of answering your questions. And once I'm through with the updates, I'll also look at the chat and then we'll see if I need to answer it here. Okay, perfect. And then we have added this improvement with the prepaid expense automation with like you can now create the mapping for the different prepaid accounts, right? So let me explain with the example as to what I mean. Okay, so let me first of all prepaid expense review, correct? So until now you could only map one prepaid account here, right? Which means if you have, like, just say insurance expense that you are paying in advance, if you have a software subscription that you're paying in advance, if you have some different expenses that you're paying in advance, the prepaid side, like, you could only map one account. But in case if you are now, let's just say if you have different prepaid account for each type of expense, you would now be able to manage that. So here is how exactly you do that. Okay, so inside prepaid expense, what you do is just simply click on config, And if you look at it here, map prepared accounts, this one is default, but then if you wanted to additionally map any prepared account, you do it here. Click on add an account. So let's just say if this was, if you had multiple prepared account, you might select prepared insurance here and then corresponding expense here. You could select prepared software here and then the corresponding software expense here, right? So what it would do is all the recognition entries for the prepaid would accordingly be recorded into those map prepaid account. All right. So that's like, uh, just in case if you guys have been following that practice where you multiple prepaid account, this is gonna be very, very helpful. Okay. All right. So that's that. And the last one that we have is the bulk add client portal command to transaction description. In fact, we made two improvements with this the client portal command. Let me show you what I mean. So what happens? I have to take you to client portal responded, right? So whenever your client responds with the comments, and when you click click here on add to description, what it generally does, it would then copy the client response and then put it here into the transaction description. Just like this is an example, like it would just put it like that. Previously, when you do that, there wasn't any indication whether you did it in like previously or not. Like, because imagine if there are 20, 30, 50 transactions, it's very hard to figure out where you actually added the description. So now whenever you add that description, you will see this kind of indication like, hey, this particular one is added to description. So you know, like it's already been done. So again, that's a small improvement that we have done. The second improvement that we have done is, imagine if there are multiple transactions where your client provided comments, and if you wanted to copy all of your client comments into the description or the line memo, you could now do it with the bulk. So all you have to simply do, just simply select those transactions. Let's just say you selected all these transactions here. Just simply click here, add to description, click on apply, and it would then copy all of your client comments and then put it to the description. So you would not have to do it one by one. So it's mainly the convenience that we have added here. All right. So that's that. Right. All right. So that's like, these are all the these releases. We've kind of been focusing on a lot of these smaller improvements, but we are already working on some of the uh, new and big features that I'm gonna now quickly talk about that, so that just wanted to give you guys heads up as to what is coming. So as you guys know, we already rolled out the prepaid expense automation, but these are the immediate things that we are working on. The payroll accruals. So what's gonna happen is, with the payroll accruals, all you have to just type in is the period name, and it would automatically create the accrual for the payroll. So example, if you have a payroll which has like a cross period, like crossover in 2 months, let's just say your payroll ends on 5th of October, right? Now in this case, like it has some days of September and then some days of October. Typically what you have to do is you have to kind of figure out like what days belongs to September, and then you like figure out the amount and then you make the accrual. All of that would be automated. All you would simply write is just type in the period, like, hey, this is from September 27 to October 5th. It would automatically figure out the days for October, will create the accrual and will also automatically reverse it. So technically you would not have to ever worry about making those payroll accruals entries manually. All right. So that is something which is coming up in this release, which is the next release itself. Okay. The next thing is that we're working on is the missing entries checklist and then accruals as well. So Xenett will kind of give you list of all of your recurring entries. Example, if you are paying Verizon Wireless every month for internet, if you are paying a vendor for electricity every month, right? Zenit will help you first of all know if there are any missing entries, and then if you then wanted to quickly accrue that, it would also help you know what the amount would be. With just one click, it would not only help you know which are those missing entries, but it will also make the accruals for you. So technically, you would never have to worry about kind of finding those entries and then making those accruals manually, right? So that's also another thing that we were working on. The third thing that we're working on is the intercompany reconciliation. So again, it's been a super pain where you often have to jump between both the entities, pull the ledgers into Excel, do some formulas, find out which transactions in this company are not here, which transaction from this company are not there. So all of that would be automated. With Xenett, it will exactly tell you like, hey, first of all, you got this difference between both the entities' balances, and these are the exact transactions that are causing the differences, right? So that way you already know now what the problems are, and then you can then accordingly fix them. So that's another thing that we're working on. And then the merchant clearing accounts regs. So a lot of you might be dealing with the merchants like Stripe or sometimes Shopify clearing account, or any sort of merchants where you have debit entries and then the bank deposits right next to that, and those are kind of setting it off. At times it's very difficult to know the exact breakdown of what the account balance is made up of, and Janet is then going to simplify that. Those of you who are using the undeposited funds feature of Xenett, that's what it does. It kind of tells you the exact breakdown of the transactions that is making up the undeposited funds balance. And we are exactly doing the same thing with now the merchant clearing as well. So if your merchant clearing is a merchant clearing account is showing the balance of, let's just say, $10,000, it will actually break it down for you. Like, hey, you got these three transactions which are like the end of the month and getting deposited in next month. You have these five transactions which are not adjusting against each other. So that way you would be exactly able to know which are those transactions which are causing the differences, right? So these are some of the big modules or features, I would rather say, are in the works right now, and these are the most immediate ones. Some of them you'll be seeing in this month itself, and some of them you'll be seeing in early December. All right. So these are the upcoming features for Zenit. All right, and side by side, you guys been great giving us some great suggestions in Zenit portal, like our ideas, and we've been kind of responding there as well. Like side by side, there's so many other requests that we've been getting, and then we've also been working on that as well. All right. So that's pretty much it from my end. But feel free, guys, use this forum to ask any questions, to even get us some suggestions, feedback, whatever you want. So based on that, in case if you have to make any changes from our end, we can also do that. So I'm kind of opening up the floor now, and in case if you guys also, let me see if I think I should be able to do that. But meanwhile, I'll kind of figuring out to allow the mic to you guys. So in case if anyone wanted to unmute themselves and then share something, you guys could do that. But meanwhile, like in case if you wanted to ask any questions, feel free to leave them in the chat. Yeah, so I think you guys should now be, in case if you wanted to unmute yourself and speak, you guys should be able to do that as well. All right. Meanwhile, Ritesh, is there anything that you want me to address? I do see some. Um,
Mm,
yeah,
then
I see
Rose,
some. Yeah, yeah. I'm kind
yeah,
of looking at that question. Yeah. So, the first question. This is about the. Let me actually share my screen. I think Um, about the payroll accruals, you will be able to. So right now, what it's gonna do, it's only gonna pick up the profit and loss accounts, and then it's gonna make the accruals for them. So if there are, like, let's just say some liability accounts, like let's just say if there is a payroll entry and then it has got the garnishment account, for example, right? Or you deducted some sort of advance from any employees. Those accounts obviously will not be part of the accrual. Primarily, will be kind of only doing the accruals for the uh, expense accounts, right? I'm not sure. Yeah, it would be hard to find out, but we will introduce some logic. I'm actually addressing this one, the normal payroll bonuses. At this point, it may not be able to identify that, but perhaps once we have a good logic in place, we might be able to figure that out as well, right? So for clients who their payroll journal synced into QBO from, yeah, okay. So as long as, so here is the thing, okay, regardless of whether it's ADP, Gusto, or whichever, the way we identify the accrual is, uh, as long as if that accrual, if that payroll entry has that period in the memo, regardless from where it has come from, Xenett will then identify and then will make the accrual entry accordingly, right? So that's that. Um, can we choose which period basis the accrual on? For example, on the next payroll, if available. By default, that is how we are doing it. Like based on the next payroll itself. But yeah, would love to kind of maybe chat more separately on that. I mean, like, because right now that's how it's done. So like it's just picking up the latest payroll, which has a crossover of the month, and then based on that we are accruing it. So all right, Maggie, I'm seeing your question. In the section entries without customer project, can we config by class? We have on class that does not need a customer, and I want to config that out of the report. All right. So in that particular report, Maggie, you may not be able to do that, but I can show you a quick workaround, right? What you can think of doing is you can just create a custom review point. Let me just take you, let's just say here, um, maybe wherever, in fact, new task review point. And what you do, create a custom review point here, okay? And then what you do, like you just create a custom review point where you select customer job blank. So meaning it is now pulling all the transactions where the customer job is blank. If you then wanted to further mention anything about, let's just say if you only wanted to pick up specific transactions like bill or check or cash, you could do that. And then further, whatever you want to apply, like in terms of class, where you could say, hey, where class is not this particular one, right? So you can think of applying all these different parameters and you can then add a custom point, and I think that should just serve the purpose that you're talking about. All right. Yeah, this Ritesh, other than that, like in the previous chat, are there any other questions that you want me to refer?
Not as such.
Not as such. Okay.
Yes.
One more thing I wanted to show you guys was that we have also, I mean, introduced this Xenett video library. So in case if you guys are inviting any new users or new people in your team, you could just like tell them to go through this video. These are systematically designed. I mean, they should just give them the basic about Xenett. So you guys would not have to worry about training them on Xenett from your end, right? I mean, this is a temporary, I would say, the library that we have created. We are, in fact, coming up with some more robust way of like a more of a formal training module or training resources inside Xenett. But temporarily, what we have done is we have just embedded this page where you can see all of those videos, and then your people can kind of go through them. And these are videos like when you click on open, they can actually look at the videos here, right? So that way, in case if you guys wanted to use this resource to train your people, you could do that as well. I think there was a question about Christian that I would like to address. I'm gonna share my screen here. So, um, Christian, you ask, can the transactional question columns be customizable? Example, if we don't use classes, could we remove that column so it does not take up that space? I think yes. Let me. So what you could do here is, so right now I'm on questions module in transactional question. Click on these three dots, click on choose columns, and then you could just say, hey, I do not want product, services, class, location, customer, right? And I think it should also remember your choice as well. So next time when you come here, those columns should be hidden automatically, right? So here you can decide what columns you want to see, what columns you don't want to see. Okay. All right. I think. looks like we are good for today. So I think we can wrap it up now. So thank you very much everyone for joining in today. I hope you find today's session helpful. We'll also be sharing this recording with you guys. You guys can also share with your team member as well. I mean, we will be anyway be sending them as well, but in case if you would like to share, you can always do that. All right. So that's it from my end.